Hi there guys, I'm just going to be doing a quick review of the Logitech G Pro X Superlight that I picked up earlier this week. I like the mouse a lot, but I don't think it's going to be my main personally. For context, I have 19.3 by 10.3 centimeter hands. And normally the way I like to hold mice, for example, is, aligned to whatever groove they have. If they have one, just kind of rest my fingers down. So I guess sort of like a palm, maybe a fingertip grip. For me, this mouse, I like the left side quite a lot. The groove here doesn't dig into the base of my hand or anything, and it's really comfortable. It's mostly the right side I have an issue with, where I just personally don't feel like I have quite enough room to rest my fingers. I find that if the back right hump were a little bit more pronounced, or if the mouse was a little bit wider, a little bit taller, I think that would help for me personally, the way I like to hold the mouse. It just seems a little bit small. It's fine for other grip styles though. I mean, unless you're trying to basically palm the mouse like I am, it seems to work a lot better for different grip styles. So if you don't hold the mouse like I do, I wouldn't worry about it. The coating on this mouse is the best coating I have used on any mouse. It almost feels like a soft touch rubber or a soft touch plastic. It just feels amazing. I love this material. Whatever they've done, it's fantastic. And I would love to have the same coating on my other mice that I use. I also think the left and right mouse clicks are super crispy. I think these are terrific for the actuation force you need to get them to work. I don't misclick them. It's not so light that I'm misclicking them on accident ever when I just rest my hand down. But there's also no fatigue. They're not heavy clicks or anything like that, so I think they're great. The side buttons are as horrible as you have heard. I hate these. It's baffling to me, baffling that a $150 mouse with this much, like with everything else so high quality, has these garbage side buttons. They are super mushy. There's pre and post travel. And there's also like these weird gaps kind of around them and I also find when I push this in, it's less pushing in and more tilting up. It's just horrible. I don't understand, like $150 mouse. You need better side buttons than this. It's 2022, man. I mean, I know this came out even a while ago, but my goodness, dude, fix these side buttons. The next revision of this mouse, what they need to do is ditch micro USB and move to USB-C and put a lot of effort into fixing these crappy side buttons. For me, they're also a little bit small. I think I would have preferred they had a little bit more real estate, like on Zowie mice or, well, certainly the Death Adder. I prefer when side buttons like this have a little bit of grippy matte texture. I like that a lot when mice do that, but that's just me. It is kind of the same coating as the rest of the shell, so it's still great. I mean, at least on that front, that works really well. Sensor in this mouse, top tier. Wireless implementation, top tier. Don't worry at all about those things. The feet are great, but they're really thin. This is kind of an issue on a lot of mice, is they are PTFE feet, I believe, so the feet are very high quality. Zowie, it's kind of the same way. I like these feet, but they're just way too thin. I mean, these are gonna wear out, I would expect, pretty quickly, and I'm just gonna have to buy replacement feet. So again, $150 mouse, $70 mouse. I mean, does it really cost them that much money to put thicker feet onto their mice? I don't know why they do that, but I don't know, maybe they save a few cents in manufacturing by having these ridiculously thin feet. The wheel is the second best wheel I have used. I prefer the wheel on the Death Adder V2 personally. I think the outside material and texturing feels better here, and it's a little bit more defined steps than on the Superlight, to my perception, but I still think this wheel is great. I still think the middle click Middle click feels a little bit better to me on the Death Adder V2, but I still think the middle click here is also really good. So great wheel, crispy, great left and right clicks. They are split trigger switches. They're separate from the shell. And the implementation is fine to me. I mean, I don't find these move around too much or anything. There are much worse implementations. So I prefer when they're separate from the shell as long as the implementation is good, which they have done here in a great way. I already touched on it. Again, $150 mouse. Why doesn't this have USB-C? Why does it have crappy micro USB? I don't understand Logitech. But yeah, I think for my hand size, it feels a little bit small. And I mean, the reason why I didn't use this mouse in the past is because I've tried it before and it's just not the shape I prefer personally. I think if you like to more palm your mice and you have large hands, it's not bad, right? Like I could definitely use this. I mean, even where I place my thumb, I feel like my thumb feels gigantic. I mean, it's basically on top of these buttons when I'm just resting it here. So if you have large hands and you like to hold the mouse like I do, you might find some other options that you prefer to this one. The other thing I didn't like about this was this detachable puck that they have here. You can see that kind of wobbles a bit. You can actually pull it out, and they have another puck that isn't covered in the feet material. I don't really like this puck because I don't like how much it wobbles and moves around. Even if I align it perfectly to the magnets, it just never really feels that stable. You can fit your USB dongle, the wireless USB dongle in there, though, so that is nice. My impression of this mouse at this point, I do think this is a really good mouse. And obviously, I mean, it's Superlight. I can't review this without talking about the weight. Really, really light mouse, super well balanced. You can throw this thing around all day on your pad, and you know, it feels excellent. I mean, going back to something like a Death Adder V2, this feels so heavy. It's so heavy comparatively to something like the Superlight. The EC2 doesn't feel that heavy, but it does feel a little bit more heavy than the, compared to the Superlight, which is a really big boon that this mouse has going for it. Yeah, those are my thoughts. I don't think that I will be maining this mouse personally, but if you have a different sized hand, if you have a different grip style, I absolutely understand what the hype is about. There is no RGB on the mouse other than this little battery indicator. I love that. I think that's brilliant. I mean, it's a wireless mouse. You want to conserve power as much as humanly possible, especially because I would imagine the battery in this perhaps doesn't have the largest capacity in the world because they're trying to keep weight down. But removing the RGB makes sense to me from the standpoint that you just want to get as much duration out of it as possible. The battery life on this has been stellar. I used the Model D wireless briefly and it was just terrible on that front and it died really fast. I also used the Naga Pro and that mouse as well. The battery life was not anywhere near as good as this. So man, Logitech makes really solid mice, but God, I would love to get this coating and material on other mice. Zowie, please make wireless mice already, for the love of God. As an aside, it's weird. I find that kind of for the left side of mice, I almost prefer the ambi shape because, this back hump, it doesn't really aggressively dig into your, the base of the thumb or anything, even if you choke up on it really far. Whereas if you look at even the Zowie mouse, I mean, this curve goes so far forward that it's pretty inoffensive on this one, really. I should be using this one. But you have these giant protruding left humps here, and it's just not that comfortable if you're holding the mouse really far forward because it's digging into the base of your thumb. But what I love about these shapes is that they give you so much support at the way I hold the mouse. I basically take the peak hump of the mouse and I line it just to the base of the fingers here. And ergo mice, I find, give you such great support if that's how you like to hold the mouse, and because of the way that they have this protruding back right hump here. And the Death Adder is obviously wider, and it's a larger and taller mouse than something like the Superlight or even the EZ2. For me, this mouse, it doesn't have the same degree of support on that front, but that's just because it's shorter and you don't get the super aggressive back right hump protruding out to kind of tilt your your ring and pinky finger down around the front. But I would expect that this shape would be a lot more comfortable to hold that way if my hands were smaller. My girlfriend tried this mouse as well, and she thought it was very comfortable and she had no issue with it, and she holds it very similarly to how I do. So yeah, the next, for 150 bucks, I can't help but be a little bit disappointed though, because these side buttons are just absolute garbage, and I can't believe, they're just so bad. Come on. So in the next iteration, I wish that you could maybe screw this puck ins. It's a little more stable. The side buttons have absolutely got to be improved because they're horrid. And then micro USB-C. So if you already have a mouse you really like, I don't know, if it were me, I'd either wait for a sale on this bad boy, because and hopefully you pick one up already, because I think they had these on sale during Black Friday. But whatever the next iteration of this is, I'm a lot more excited for, because I do think that especially the micro USB doesn't bug me too much. In usage, this probably, I mean, it bugs me a little bit because it just flops around. It's annoying. But the side buttons are really the things that irritate me. And then, it's not a criticism to talk about the length and width and height and the shape of the mouse. But for me, it's not the most comfortable shape out there. But thank you for your time. I really appreciate it, and have a good one. Thank you.